One. We are live. What is going on, everyone? Thank you all so much for being here, hanging out with all of us. Anyone trickling in at this time, thanks so much for taking time out of the day, sharing with us. Anybody that's watching this on the replay, we really appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. What's going on, Jake? How are you?
I am good. I am good. Just enjoying this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday.
Right.
How about you, sir?
I'm wonderful. Trying to put this game on. Oh, there we go. Putting this game
Well,
on.
you know
Really,
what? Let me do this. Let me do the same thing.
getting ready, getting close. But yeah, we got some news, everything like that. First thing that I want to dive into is the Zach Lavine news. So we got a report that Zach Lavine wants to be a Laker. It,
Mm.
you know, it's not surprising for a multitude of reasons. One, he's signed with Clutch, so that's
With
LeBron's.
Clutch Sports.
So that's
Yeah.
LeBron's lane, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense there. Two, he's LA guy, UCLA guy, stuff like that. That makes sense. Three, he's wanted to go to Lakers for some time. I mean, even in the offseason, there were talks about him trying to set the work, trying to lay the groundwork to go to LA. And
Yeah.
the report today said the same thing, that basically, the Bulls, they're not seeing eye to eye right now. And they look like they're getting ready for a separation. Last I checked, here, let's pull it up now. Last I checked, the Bulls were losing again to the Atlanta Hawks. If that's the case, oh no, they came back and won. So they did come back and beat the Hawks, which is good, but they're still way behind.
Yeah.
And a question is that, at what point do you decide to blow it up? Also, not only is Zach Lavine not seeing eye to eye with the organization, him and DeMar DeRozan apparently have some conflicts. Like, they're not really working well together because it's kind of, they're the same players. They're high volume shooting guards, basically.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it's like, what do you do? And so, personally, if I'm being honest, and then of course I want to hear your thoughts, but if I'm being honest, I don't think the Lakers get Zach Lavine. I don't. Um, I think that he has more value. Like DeMar DeRozan, I think is the most likely the scenario. I
Okay.
think because multitude of reasons. One, I think if you're Chicago and it comes down to Zach Lavine or DeMar DeRozan, you're unloading DeMar DeRozan, age, things like that, right? Not just that, he's not going to have a ton of value where Lavine has some value. And if you were to trade him, you're probably better off trading him in the offseason. But hopefully the idea is you unload DeMar and then Lavine wants to stay, and then you can kind of build around Lavine. Now, that would put the Lakers in prime position, because then what you'd want is you probably want to unload DeMar, get both first round picks from the Lakers, clear off all that salary, and now you're in that position, right? To where you can now go sign guys to put around Lavine. Maybe go sign a Miles Turner and like a Gary Trent Jr. or something like that. Now you got some pieces around. You got some pieces around Lavine. But I also don't think I think Lavine, I don't think he would have a ton of trade suitors either. At least teams that'd be willing to like give up. Like, how many teams are like giving up the farm for Zach Lavine, and how many teams are looking at Zach Lavine and going, "Man, he's the piece we need," with his salary, his injury history, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I do think the Knicks are probably the most likely, and there's even been reports that the Knicks would be willing to offer like a Godfather type package. So if the Knicks were willing to make that move, I just don't think the Lakers would. I mean, the Lakers can't compete with that. I mean, the Knicks have a treasure trove of draft picks. I mean, they have a ton of draft picks. They have their own. They have several from other places, all that stuff, right? So they have more than enough to throw, 5, 6, 7 first round picks at Chicago if they needed to. And they were willing to do that for Donovan, right? So, I could see them trading, maybe giving up a Grimes quickly, and maybe a piece or something, and then giving up like 4 firsts and getting Zach Lavine and boom, right?
Yeah.
That is something I could see them doing. But in the same breath, like, does Chicago want to take on dead salary? Because that's basically what they would have to do, right? Take on like an Evan Fournier or take on, a Julius Randle or something. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense for them. But it's something that they might have to do if they're going to do a rebuild, unless you look at the Lakers and the
Yeah.
Lakers are a team that have all that could basically clear your salary books. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Zach Lavine? Is he a guy you want to get, or do you think it's a possibility, or would you rather go DeMar, or would you rather go rotation guys? Because personally, if I'm being honest, I'd rather go depth
Yeah.
than anything. But this is a move the Lakers would do. If Zach Lavine or DeMar are available, the Lakers are going to go trade for Zach Lavine and DeMar. But what are your thoughts?
I personally I like Zach Levine over more than I like DeMar DeRozan. I think he's a little bit more of an all around like guard, if you will. He could play multiple positions. You can switch him up. And to see him on the floor with AD and LeBron, I feel that would be a really good fit. Um, I feel like, see, but that's the thing though. What does that trade even look like? If we go and get Zach Levine with Zach's salary, we would have to give up rest, correct?
Yeah. So basically, you'd have to
Then
you basically be trading rest. Like
yeah,
theoretically,
at that point, I don't even want the trade because I don't really think that Russ giving up Russ for Zach Levine because like let's look and see what like Zach is doing this season.
I mean, he's giving you more points. So he's basically he's like a 25, 5-5 guy. Is what Zach
Okay,
Levine.
okay, so
This would be
20,
more.
25, 5 and 5. So
Yeah,
you're what? You're losing a couple rebounds, losing a couple like
you're
you
losing
know
basically like 3 rebounds and like 5 assists per game.
few assists.
Yes,
Uh,
but you're getting the scoring.
you're
So
getting more consistent scoring. I
yeah,
mean, because like we all know Russell can put up 25, right? But I
yeah,
think you're just losing Zach Levine's going to get you that consistent,
it'd be
25,
a better
have
fit.
a 30 plus point
Yeah,
game.
it'd be a better
Yeah,
fit.
because that's one thing we need. We along with like wing defense, we also need scores that I don't want to call them guaranteed scores, but
Yeah,
your buckets per
absolutely.
se, your buckets. Your Jimmy Butlers, your Kyries, your LeBrons, your ADs. The people who are going to necessarily go out every night and get you, a guaranteed 20, 25, whatever. Or when you need a bucket, go get the bucket. So, um, it would be a good trade, but I just don't know if I'm. You know what I mean? Like you're losing a lot, though. You know what I mean? Like I just don't know if to give up Russ. Now, if we could do the trade and with somehow like give up none, give up, Beverly, but I believe we can't do that just because
Yeah,
Zach.
salary is too
Yeah.
much. But I
So
mean, this would also be if they were to do this. This would be more of a long term play too, because one, how long are you keeping Russ around? Two,
now we're
um,
talking long term after AD or long term with AD after
with
LeBron
AD
phases out.
after LeBron, right?
With
Because
AD after LeBron. Okay,
yeah, because
that's a good fit. That's a good
yeah,
build right there.
so basically, because LeBron's got at most 2 more years with the Lakers, but you'd have Levine for the next like 5 years. I believe he signed a 5-year deal, 4-year deal, something
Okay.
like that. So
And
you
we don't
basically
know
would
how
have
long AD is going to be around.
yeah. So you'd have AD. So you basically after LeBron, you'd have AD and Levine to build for the future. Is
I
basically
like that. I like that. On paper, I like how that looks to build around at least.
yeah, yeah, and that would be the scenario the for the Lakers or how the Lakers would perceive that.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I just personally, I think like, what are your thoughts on Demar? Like, because Demar, I think if this happens again, who knows if this happens? Not just that, Chicago would have to do it by the trade deadline because if they decide to do it in the offseason, then the Lakers don't have a way to do it because
Yeah.
the only way to do it would be to sign and trade Russ. But why would Chicago want Russ if they're going to rebuild? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Well,
You're not.
no. They would want Russ for not to want Russ, but like you said, just to
Yes,
offload.
but if they do it in the offseason, then Russ is an expiring contract. So you can't trade Russ when he's a free agent. So you wouldn't be able to go make that trade. So the trade would have to happen around the trade deadline if it were to happen. And if it did happen, I don't see Lavine because one, I think Chicago will trade DeMar before they trade Lavine. I think that again, if Lavine and DeMar aren't seeing eye to eye, you trade DeMar, right? Boom, he's gone, and then you rebuild around
And
Lavine.
it's kind of weird. They are kind of the same player. I never really thought about that, but
They
that's
are. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, they basically are. They're basically the same player. So they're not working. So you unload DeMar, he gets off. You also clear off his salary, which could help. So then basically, you kind of don't have anything, right? You basically cleared off all your cap. Maybe you could find somebody to unload Lonzo. Maybe even the Lakers would unload Lonzo. Like have that be a caveat. Like, look, we'll trade you tomorrow, but you got to take on Lonzo's contract also. So then maybe you're taking Patrick Beverly, Kendrick Nunn, and Russell Westbrook, along with the two firsts. You're getting DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and then you're getting Lonzo Ball. Maybe that's what you're doing, getting Lonzo back. Now some people might love the idea of Lonzo Ball back, but the issue is his health. Like he's likely not playing this season, so you basically have his contract as a dead contract this season. Maybe he comes back for the playoffs, but even if he does come back from playoffs, there was an issue with him and LeBron. But Lonzo is a better shooter now, and he would be a good defender.
I was gonna say, and the production, we were not gonna guarantee. It's not guaranteed, but I can almost assure you that we're not. My basketball knowledge tells me that we're not going to get the same production as we're getting, like that he's doing in Chicago, that he's doing in LA, just because there's too many variable factors. He has to play behind like two, if not three, if you want to count Russ, really, but
he could.
major superstars. When I just don't feel like he's developing to his own, and like what you see that with a lot of players who have like played with LeBron, they get out of like underneath like LeBron's wing, but it's not just LeBron. I don't want to like single out LeBron, but it's that big stars wing, and depending on who it is. But like we've seen that with Kuzman, we've seen that with Ball. So it's just I think that he came into his own now, and to put him back into that environment, I'm not talking about everybody, but like that particular play, as much as I would love to see that, I don't think we're going to get the same production.
Personally, but the only thing is like you probably, if you take Lonzo back, you're probably replacing Russ with Lonzo. So
yeah, and I don't understand why you would do that.
Lonzo would basically be your sixth man at that point. Your hope is that Lonzo comes back, he's healthy, and then you have him come off the bench as the sixth man, and he's basically giving you the production that Russ was. He's giving you,
he's 10. Not even doing that on Chicago now. So I don't.
He hasn't played all year. He was before. I mean, he was actually really good last year for Chicago. Really good, like surprisingly good for Chicago last year. But he just can't stay healthy. He can't, like, the dude just he's another guy that could, a couple of years from now we could be looking back and going, man, well, I wonder what Lonzo could have been. Like, he fixed his shot. His shot was great. He was shooting at one point, if I'm not mistaken, he was shooting like 40% from three for Chicago. Like, he completely changed his shot and was shooting really well.
He like the dude is no scrub. Like, for real, he's good. But
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was averaging like 15, 8, and 8 for Chicago at one point, which is basically more than what Russ is averaging right now. Here, continue telling me what you think. I'm going to look up.
Yeah,
I want to see.
Going back to what you were asking about DeMar, just looking at like this. All right, small sample size here for the last 3 games. You have the Timberwolves, Heat, and Hawks. I'm just looking at a quick stat line here just to get a update on what he's kind of been doing. He had 28, 6 and 5, 24, 5 and 5, 29, 4 and 6. Okay, so that type of production. I mean, it seems like he's being a little bit more consistent than Russ would be.
Real quick, he shot 42.3% from three. So it was actually more than what I thought. So last year in 2021, because again, he hasn't played this year. Yeah. Last year in 2021, he averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block, and shot 42.3% from 3-point range.
I like the 3-point percentage. I like that.
I mean, you'd be getting basically a 40 if he could replicate that. You'd be getting like a 40% 3-point shooter. And a guy that basically gives you the production that Russ would off the bench.
But isn't that not like, I don't know. the stat line, the production to me almost says like AR. Almost. I mean, not the like. Obviously, I'm not gonna say that Ball's not better than AR, but it's like I feel like give Anthony Reeves a year or two, and that's what Anthony Reeves is gonna turn into
It would it would
more consistent
yeah,
next
but it
year.
wouldn't hurt to have two of them.
No, no,
And
absolutely
Lonzo's a
no.
great defender.
No, we need 10 ARs. Like I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Like we need like 10 ARs. Like 10 ARs, a couple walkers, and we're good. Like
Real quick, let's dive into the chat a little bit. What's going on, Joey? Ghostface Fanatic, how are you?
what's up,
Raymond,
Ghostface?
what's going on? Good evening, gentlemen. Have a good
Good
later night.
evening.
Good night, gentlemen. Peace. See you later, Raymond. Thank you so much for popping
See
in,
ya.
saying hello. What's going on, Tatum? How are you? How are you?
What's
Appreciate you.
up?
Do you guys think Klay Thompson will ever go to Lakers? Probably not.
No,
Personally.
I would have to bet my chips now.
Yeah. Let's go. What's going on, John? Appreciate you being here. His salary is too much. It is, but
Whose salary is too much? Who are we talking about? We're talking about
he's talking about
Zach.
Zach Lavine. The problem is that like it's a move the Lakers would make. Like if they can get Zach Lavine, they're gonna get Zach Lavine. You know what I mean? It's just
We got to give up Russ and one first.
you're probably giving up both first. You'd have to. There's no way. There's no way.
No,
because I mean, at that point, like any team could compete and go get Lavine. Like
would you make that trade? I wouldn't. Me personally, I not for two first and Russ.
I wouldn't necessarily like it, but the Lakers will do it. Like if they can get Lavine for 2 firsts and Russell Westbrook, they will do it. They will. It's just that's the Lakers. Lakers not making any trades. I don't know. You never know. It's possible they do nothing. Zach wanted to be a Laker years ago when he went to Chicago on a first take. Yeah, he's wanted to be a Laker for a long time. Not trading picks for DeMar and Vu. The problem is the Lakers will. Like I get it. People might not want it, might not like it, but if the Lakers have a chance to get either DeMar or Lavine, they're gonna have to give up. They'll give up both first. They were gonna give up a first round pick for Bojan Bogdanovic. And look, Bojan Bogdanovic might be a better natural fit just because the type of shooter he is and he can do it on just high production. But DeMar's the better player. Like, and if you're getting Vu on top of it, you're getting a legit, 2010 center that you could start, come off the bench, whatever. Like the Lakers.
DeMar is a better player over who? Over
Bojan Bogdanovic.
Okay.
Let's stack the roster instead of using our assets on one trade. I would rather them like go and do multiple trades and get some depth and get several pieces. I really would, but like again, it's the Lakers. The Lakers love to go big game hunting. The Lakers love to star chase. It's just who they are. It's what they've always done.
If you think about it, I feel like depth is what wins championships more so than being so like superstar heavy. Because like take a look at like the Warriors, for example. Like that's a great example of like how depth would just get you very, very far. Look at those years they won the championships. The years that they won the championship, like their bench put in work, especially against like Cleveland, like in those finals. So like I don't know. Like okay, even take the Phoenix Sun that we just played, the Phoenix game we just played. That game would have been more competitive if we had if we had a deeper team. You know what I mean? Because you got AD out, LeBron out, you got all your stars, Russ out, everybody's out, right? And you've got Anthony Reeves out. So, but if you would have had, I think, a deeper team, it would have been fun because then you would have had Walker, half Walker, because so you would have had Walker, but you would have had Walker and a few really good guys that would have just ran the floor and potentially made it dangerous for the Suns. So I don't know. I think it's games like that. You need the depth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. Like, share, and subscribe. Yes, Beast. I really appreciate that. Yes, you got like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. I really appreciate
for our Christmas gifts, guy. Can we let's get 5 subscribers?
Yes,
5.
let's come on. Hit the subscribe button. I'm sure there's some of you that aren't here. We're trying to get to 3K here on this channel, and we're almost there. We're getting there. Star chasing this year is not going to win this year. You guys are right. I totally agree. Yeah, look, I agree. I don't think because it's harder to integrate a new star than it is to integrate role players. It's easier to get 5 role players and have them figure it out because they've always been role players, right? So
Exactly. They're just gonna come in.
they know what the role is. Their
Exactly.
role is
Exactly. Yeah.
their role is probably the same on the Lakers as it is on, like say, the Hornets deal, right? If you get Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre, and PJ Washington, their role is going to be the same. Shoot, play defense, shoot the 3 ball. Rozier, go score. There you go. But like a guy like DeMar or Lavine, who are used to being the number 1 or number 2 option, now coming to Lakers are going to be the number 3 option. They have to try to figure out and navigate how do I, is it you go, I go? Is it I go? Like you have
I
to
feel like
have
that's hard to do, especially at this
it's hard.
level. I feel like that's really hard to do. Like you're talking about take everything that you like. Your first natural instinct is to cut just to be a slasher and destroy the rim, like score. But then you come into an organization and now your role has to be reverted back to like, okay, this guy is going to be the first option, but like you kind of have to take a back seat and fill in where you. I feel like that would be so hard to do, and we've only seen it a handful of times. Again, I don't mean to keep tuning the man's horn, but shout out to Russ. Shout out
Yeah,
to
I mean
Russ.
to make the sacrifices that he made and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
again, I just keep falling back to this is what the Lakers always have done. You know, Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, Gary Payton, Karl Malone, Shaq, Kareem, Pau Gasol. Like the way they look at it is we've always won championships on the back of our stars. Let's go get stars, right? Like that's what they've always done. And so, although you can make an argument, they've won most of their championships with 2 definitive stars, right?
Two
Like,
definitive stars and some really good, just solid players that like.
yeah. I mean, the Shaq
Whether
and Kobe.
we had to grab them by their collar and bring them across the finish line was, but
Yeah.
still, like.
But I mean, like the late '90s, 2000s Lakers had Shaq and Kobe, and then like 15 or 13 great role guys. You had Pau Gasol and Kobe, and then you had another 13. I mean, Shannon Brown, Jordan
I mean,
Farmar,
I'm not trying to say that like
Andrew
Lamar Odom and
Bynum.
Derek Fisher are just average guys. I'm not even trying to say that, but they weren't
I mean,
sure today's
even
superstars like really big. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, even going back to like the
Like
80s,
Derek Fisher's like a Clay, like.
yeah. Even going back to like the 80s, you have Kareem and Magic, who are your big stars.
Yeah.
And but you had other guys, although they were like almost star, like they'd be stars probably today, but still like James Worthy, like Byron Scott, like guys like that, like they knew their role, they understood their role, and they played their role. But it's just the Lakers are just so stuck on like we need 3 stars, and I personally think part of that is the fear of what's this team going to look like after LeBron. Because the Lakers are probably looking at it as like we got probably 2 more years with LeBron, and then he leaves. If we can get a 3rd star now, let's get a 3rd star now, win a championship, and then after LeBron leaves, we have those 2 stars to build around. That is probably what the Lakers are looking at, and they'd rather have all their money tied up into 3 stars right now than a bunch of role guys that when LeBron leaves, all you have are role guys and Anthony Davis, and so now you're not good enough to win a championship, which in my opinion there is an argument for that. But
yeah. Well, when you lay it out like that, I mean, yeah, that makes sense because if you only got a couple more years with LeBron, I can understand getting going and get like a really big star, but why not? Or you could do it this way, or you can just keep, you have LeBron for a couple more years, you have AD, you may or may not have Russ, whatever, but just get a few good key pieces and go and try to compete for a championship. That way, when LeBron leaves, your selling point for them to still come to this team is, hey, we have championships to build on with AD and with all your supporting cast. So it's easy just to plug and play. At this point, after LeBron leaves, you can take LeBron, and no, I'm not saying that you can just take anybody and replace LeBron, but with the numbers that LeBron is putting up right now and the impact he brings to the team, once LeBron phases out, it's a plug and play. You can take LeBron out and fit in, let's say, a Kevin Durant or like
Not
a
not necessarily, because it depends on what role guy. So, like for example,
Well, no, I'm not even saying a role guy. I'm saying it would have to be like a Kevin Durant or
no,
like
no,
a.
no,
You could take your big star.
no, I understand what you're saying, but what my point is that, like, so say right now the Lakers go and they
Yeah.
sign. Let's say they go and they trade for let's say Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, right?
Okay.
So then they go, they get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. They have to sign Miles Turner a new contract. Let's say they sign him 25 4 years, 100 million, right?
Yeah.
That's probably minimum what he'll go for. So 4 years, 100 million, boom, you got that. Buddy Hield, 22 million, all
Yeah.
of that. And you're over the cap. Right now all you got left are taxpayer mid-level and believe the biannual mid-level, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting those guys, you're signing a couple pieces. If you're lucky, maybe Walker takes the non bird rights for 7.7 million. So you can go over the cap to sign him for that. Let's say he does do that, right? Because like Bobby Portis did it. There have been players that have done it before because they wanted to be where they're at. So let's say Walker's like, no, I want to be a Laker. So he takes that.
He's going to be crucial too. I really hope he
Yeah,
stays.
I hope
I
he does too.
really hope he stays.
But let's say he does that, right? Sticks around, boom, you get that, and then you sign him to, like, let's say 4 years, 15 million a year, which is actually probably fair for him, right? Like that's probably being generous, right? Well, here's the problem.
4
Now,
years at 15 million.
yeah, let's say 15
What's his contract
million.
now?
He's making that like 5.6 million. So
okay, yeah, no, I just in comparison,
yeah. So let's say that on the low end. So now you got Anthony Davis, you got Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, Walker. Let's say you find a way to re-sign Reeves, right? So you got those guys, and then you got LeBron James, right?
Okay.
Okay. Well, now the problem is the year that LeBron can leave, LeBron leaves, and you have no cap space to re-sign another star. So now you're stuck with Anthony Davis, Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, Walker, and Reeves, and maybe Max Christie turns into something. Because that's the problem, and that's why the Lakers are probably looking at trying to get a third star, because they're probably looking at it as it's easier to get role guys, especially if you're a contender, to get role guys to come in and take less money than it is to go get another star. And if we overpay for stars, which we're going, or role players, which we're going to have to do if we make a trade, now when LeBron leaves, we're stuck. We have Anthony Davis as our only star and then a bunch of role guys. And is that enough to win a championship, especially with Anthony Davis's health? Probably not. And that's why the Lakers, my guess, that's why the Lakers are determined to try to get another star for their picks, because they're probably looking at it as like, yeah, we could go trade for a bunch of role guys, but we have to re-sign those role guys. And because we gave up all our assets, we have to re-sign those role guys for the next several years. And then we might not have money to go and buy another superstar. And so if that happens, then we're screwed. Unless you could work out some sort of sign and trade with LeBron leaving, but that would require a team wanting LeBron James.
Yeah.
And again, that's a problem. So no matter how you slice it, I guess, so to speak, is like that. It's a tough spot for the Lakers to be in.
Yeah.
And so that's why. But personally, I think you get the role guys, you try to figure it out, and then you hope. You're almost better off hoping that another star tries to force their way to the Lakers. And then, now you have a bunch of mid-tier guys, role guys that you could use as salary to go trade for those guys.
Yeah.
That is another option, but the Lakers are in a bind regardless. Like, they're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
So it's just
while AD's been vocal about wanting to stay in LA, like, you do have to consider the fact that, like, we got to hold on to AD as long as we can. like, you know what I mean? Like, in the off chance that he doesn't want to stay in LA, that's going to be really unfortunate, because at that point, LeBron's getting ready to phase out, and you got Lonnie Walker.
Yeah.
You got Lonnie Walker.
the thing though too is also
if you even have that. I mean,
is next off season is going to be interesting because next off season, um, you really gotta you really gotta start because Anthony Davis goes into a contract year and LeBron could opt out. So if you don't do anything this year and you underperform this year, you could end up having LeBron and AD both leaving you for nothing.
and that, yeah,
And now you have nothing, right? Like you have yeah, you have those 2 first round picks. Eh, At that point, you might be lucky that you kept them because you're going to be one of the worst teams in the league for the next, unless 2 new stars want to come to LA. But again, like not a lot out there. So
so
if
that's
you're the
what you're saying.
Lakers,
It's better that, so they got that pressure on them right now. That's why
yeah.
that,
So if
yeah.
you're the Lakers, you're better off just doing it now and hoping, when those picks are due, you're the Lakers and you can attract stars because you've always done it.
That's yeah, that's
You
fair.
know,
That
like,
I agree with you. That's a there. It's a pickle either
yeah,
way you dice it up.
it is. It is. It's a tough
But
spot
I
no
feel
matter
like
how
almost
you.
every team goes with this, especially the Lakers when their big stars getting ready to, retire and
Yeah,
leave, and they have to look to the future right now. Um, I don't
it
know.
it is. I mean, it's a tough spot because I mean, you know, again, like if
Preferably
you're
a
the
young star though, like a Tatum or like a like I to see like someone who's closer to the end of their career, like I don't know, like Kyrie's not, I have a strange feeling that Kyrie's going to be out of here in a couple years for whatever reason. I just feel like he's done with the NBA. That's just my theory. But like, I feel like if you're going to do that though, you got to go get a young star. Like, yeah, like a book or something. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think you go get a star that's a star but is closer to the end of the career than they are at the beginning. You know what I mean?
I
If
can
we're
understand.
if we're, if we're the Lakers, like I just unless like, hey, we can realistically get this championship done within the next 2 years for LeBron. You know what I mean? But
Well,
if it's not realistic, then
if you can get like say Zach Lavine, for example, right? Like he's young enough still. He's what 27, 28. So he's young enough to where you probably have him for the next, you know, 5 years minimum, and he's still in his prime. Um, and so you're looking at it as like if you sign AD to a new contract, that gives you, you got say 5 years, whatever, 37 million a year, whatever, right? And then you got Lavine on his. So you basically got Lavine and AD for the next, 4 or 5 years. Um, that as your duo that you're building around, and then you go look at those stars, and you have those guys, so that way, if your picks, by the time your picks are due in 2027, 2029, you still have those guys, right? Like that's the idea.
yeah,
Like you still have those two. You're hopefully still a good team and you're able to kind of piece it together. But I mean, you're almost like I said, you're almost better if you're the Lakers, you're almost better off just saying like, or I mean, again, you don't want to just make a trade just to make a trade. No trade is better than a bad trade. But you're almost better off looking at this and going, all right, let's make a move now that is good enough to put us at least, in the conversation the next 2 years. So that entices AD at least to stay. And then LeBron, if he leaves, then fine. You have AD and you have these pieces, and then you figure it out from there. And then after AD, or if AD leaves, you got these role guys, and you have like 100 million in cap space. So it's like, okay, well, if AD and LeBron do leave, well, then now maybe you can get 2 stars to replace those two, or you could go sign and trade AD for a disgruntled star. Like, let's say, I don't know, like just throwing a name out there, first name that came to mind. Not saying that this will happen, but let's say like Luca is like, I want out and I want you to trade me. You could do worse if you're Dallas than Anthony Davis, still under 30 or at 30. That could be a piece that could help now and, for the next
I
several
mean,
years.
it depends on where he is injury wise though. Like
Yeah, I
if
mean, yeah.
it, if this only gets worse for him and he's barely playing during the season, I don't think Dallas is you know
No, like I
I,
said, that'll never happen. There's not even a reason to explore the trade.
no, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, I'm just like I said, it's the first name that popped into my head. But what I'm saying is that like that's the hope is that some disgruntled star, whoever it is, Zion. Let's say Zion wants out, right? And he's like, I want you to trade me. Like the Pelicans could do worse than getting Anthony Davis back, right? Like it at
Or like
least,
a Trey Young. But even
whoever,
yeah,
insert your dream Laker, star that you want to come, or Jaylen Brown. Like Jaylen Brown might be a realistic target, actually, believe
yeah.
it or not, in 2 years. Like let's say Jaylen Brown wants to come to the Lakers, right? Well, again, Boston could do worse than getting Anthony Davis. You have Jason Tatum and Anthony Davis. Like that's a pretty good duo for
Man,
them.
you better not go to
And that, well,
heck,
yeah,
leave
no.
LA and go to Boston like Shaq.
But I mean, my point is that like,
Yeah.
if Anthony Davis wants to leave, your hope is okay. Well, maybe we could sign and trade him to go get another star. Because if
Yeah.
Boston's really good, say you just hopefully you find yourself in a situation where you can just basically swap stars, even if you're losing a little value. Like Anthony Davis is a better player than Jaylen Brown, right? And so like
Right now.
yeah, you're losing. You might be losing some, depth, but you have a young star that you can build around for the next few years, right? And you got some role guys. Maybe go get another star to come in, join Jaylen Brown, and your role guys, and now you're off to contender again. Like that's the hope if you're the Lakers, is to find something like that. But regardless, like I just think that if you're the Lakers, you're almost better off finding something because there's nothing in free agency next season. Like literally, like there's nothing out there that you can look at and go, man, like those are the players we need. Like it's the well's pretty much dried up. You're only going to have about 30 million in cap space. Your only hope is Kyrie comes. If Kyrie comes, cool, then you're probably okay, right? If Kyrie comes, then you got Kyrie, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. You and me could be the fourth and fifth guy out there, and they're probably good enough to win a championship, right? Because I mean, especially the way Kyrie's playing right now, he's playing. You get this Kyrie, he's shooting like 50% from the field and averaging 27 a game. You get that Kyrie on with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Good luck trying to beat those guys. Like if you beat them, good on you, but you're probably not. So like, but unless Kyrie comes and is the Lakers' savior, then you're probably screwed regardless. So you might as well push your chips to the table, try to get some guys now, and hope that LeBron and AD have enough that at least the next 2 years to maybe go get you a championship. Because even if you don't win it this year, like let's say you go and you win it next year, right? Because now the team has a full training camp, all that stuff. Let's say they're healthier, all of those things. LeBron can still maintain his level. Anthony Davis can still maintain his level, and you win a championship. Then in hindsight, it was all worth it, right? Because you won another championship, especially if you win it before Boston, because now you got the tiebreaker, right? So regardless, like all signs point to like the Lakers should do something rather than doing nothing. Even if it's just like going and getting just doing the Boyan deal, like go get Boyan. At least you got him. Maybe Boyan, because if Boyan, LeBron, and AD are enough, then cool. Maybe you do still, because you still have some salary space. You still have about 12 to 15 million in salary cap next season. Like okay, cool. Maybe you could go get another player or two. Maybe you could go get a Gary Trent Jr. So now you got LeBron, Gary Trent, Boyan, and Anthony Davis, which is enough to win a championship. And then maybe Walker looks at it and goes, man, like I'd have a chance to win a championship here. On top of that, it's I got on top of that, you got Boyan, you got all these guys, all those things. Like, okay, like I'll take the 7.7 million, I'll stay here. And now you got like Boyan, Gary Trent, Lonnie Walker, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. Like that's one of the best starting fives in the league. Like, again, no matter how you shake it, I just think you go and you get you do something. You got to do something.
We have to do something. Absolutely. That's definitely agreed on.
Yeah. So and then sort of last little thing that I want to touch on, and then we can skate on out of here is so Anthony Davis obviously injured. Um, but the Lakers supposedly want to get a second opinion on his injury, which I think is interesting because usually when you want to get a second opinion, it's because you didn't like the first opinion and you're hoping somebody says that it's not as bad as it as originally was.
Ooh.
And we got the reports that AD is supposed to miss a month.
Yeah.
If AD misses a month, okay, fine. It's not the end of the world. But there are rumors that he's going to miss more than that.
Yeah.
Again, no real credible rumors that they're going to do it. It's just kind of like a word that's going around, which probably was started by some fan that or some troll or something.
Yeah.
So they have that, right? But it is interesting that the Lakers want a second opinion on Anthony Davis. Now, if it was Anthony Davis that wanted a second opinion, I'd be a little more concerned because usually that means the team is trying to get you to play when you
Yeah.
know you shouldn't, and
Yeah.
you're hurt and you don't want to play because you don't want to make things worse. That's usually the case. This I think is interesting because it's like, hang on, like wait a minute, like so the organization wants to make a move, like
Yeah.
or wants not make a move, but like get a second opinion. Yeah, make a move, but like
Yeah.
just to clarify, not like a trade or something. But
Yeah.
that I think is interesting in and of itself. But what are your thoughts on that?
That is interesting. That is interesting. For the team wanting to get a second opinion. What's up, B Spendy?
What's going on, Benny?
See, I don't see. So you think so? Okay, so they pretty much want a second opinion because the first opinion told them, all right, it's going to be at least a month, and they want a second opinion. What to tell them? Like, okay, it's maybe not as bad. Maybe give it 15 days or something like whatever, just to tell them it's less than what it is.
Personally, real quick to interject, I think
Okay.
it's likely. My guess is one of two
Yeah.
things. Either option A is they want to make sure that it's not that bad to where he misses more time. You know what I mean? So like Anthony Davis has his foot injury, they're checking, their doctors say like, hey, he should be good in about a month, and they just want to make sure, because like if like let's say it's worse, let's say you go do a trade because we know the Lakers are looking to try to do some trade, make some move, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're the Lakers, you don't want to go make a trade or give up all your assets and do all this stuff. And then Anthony Davis comes back and he comes back too soon and he hurts himself and now he's out for the season and your season's basically over, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's either A, they want to get a second opinion just to be sure that they don't bring AD back too soon to where that also you could also say maybe they want to find out just to make sure to decide whether they want to do a trade or not. Like if another doctor says, oh no, it's going to be like 6 months, he needs like some surgery or something. Well, then your season's probably done. So why make a move now?
I see.
Or the sort of other option that I see that could be a possibility outside of that is they just want to make sure that like they want to know what is Davis's actual status, and maybe it's more severe than they originally think. But he's not in a walking boot, and he was walking fine back and forth. I mean, I haven't really been watching this game because we've been talking, but I mean, I'd be curious to see like is he walking back and forth like he was the last game? Because if he is, like that's a good sign.
I haven't seen him.
That means he probably doesn't have like a tear or a fracture or anything. So those are all things that are interesting. But again, go ahead and continue your point. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to.
No, you're good. And what like it could be a case and scenario too where they want a second opinion because they actually think like you just said, really, they might think it's worse than it really is.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm watching the game. I'm like LeBron's back in, but no, we should definitely be winning this game. And the fact that we're not, it's a little concerning. I know we don't have AD, but
I mean it's early.
Yeah, no, no, it might be. I'm hoping not, but it might be worse than we actually think it is. It may because think about it. We've been waiting to do a trade, right? So the 15th hit because right now it's been already what 6 days. You know what I mean? And I think that it might be worse than it is, and I don't want it to be, but I feel like it might be a little worse because they're not making a trade. Because if he's injured and he's not going to be able to come back for the remainder of the season, then that means a yes, I agree, your season's over, but b no, we're not going to trade because what's the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No matter what piece you go and get without AD, you add any piece you want to. I mean, besides like the unrealistic trades, like the Lucas or the Giannis's, you add whatever piece you want to LeBron. We're not necessarily a guarantee. Oh, that's enough to go win a championship. I'm
Yeah.
not. Give me a name. No, we're like if someone can give me a name, give me a name. I don't think you can add. You can just take AD, replace that with any. And if you're gonna replace AD at that point, let's say okay, let's roll with the narrative. All right, 6 months, 8 months, whatever. He's gonna have to sit out for the remainder of the season. You're gonna have to go and get a big. That then changes who you want to go and get. You can't go necessarily get a fast small guard. You're gonna
If
have to
that,
go and get
if
a
that
big.
happens, they probably go try to do the Buddy Hield and Miles Turner deal. Like if AD's done for the season and they were gonna do a trade, like legit trade,
Yeah,
I think either they do the Buddy Hield and Miles Turner deal to try to go, replace AD to some degree,
yeah.
or they do the Chicago deal. If you get DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic, then your hope is DeMar, LeBron, and Vu are good enough to keep
Because
you.
Boyan's not gonna. I mean, are we still looking at the Boyan deal if AD's injured for the rest of the season?
I wouldn't, because there's just no point, because Boyan and LeBron aren't going to be good enough by themselves with this team to go win you a championship.
That's fair.
So I mean, maybe Russ can step up more, but you're still small. Like I just don't think Russ, LeBron, and Boyan are enough.
And
But
that's another thing. I feel like if AD's injured, your hand is almost forced unless you go get. I guess unless you go get healed, but your hand is almost forced to put Russ back in the starting lineup. And maybe I just see it that way.
I
I
mean,
just this
I don't think they would. I think that they would try to get Russ to score more, like be more aggressive. But the only way you could do that is to have him come off the bench, because you don't want him to be more aggressive with LeBron. You kind of want LeBron to have. So basically, you give LeBron his five, and then you give Russ his five, and then you hope Russ can. When LeBron's sitting, Russ is going to getting you 25 a night. Like that's probably your best
fair
option.
enough because who's gonna come off the bench other than Russ that's gonna make
Yeah,
a
exactly.
really
And
big
you'd have
significant
literally
impact?
and LeBron and Russ still conflict at times. And Russ becomes very ineffective when LeBron's running the show. So yeah, you probably have the starting five you got in right now, and then you'd have Russ run with the second unit. But you just you take Russ off the leash and you say, go. Like just go be the best Russell Westbrook you can. If you can give us a 30-point triple double, go give us a 30-point triple double, whatever you can do.
And we're
Um,
starting Bryant, right? I mean, I would imagine.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean that would be your only options. And then maybe go look at like I said, like a Hassan Whiteside or something like that. Try to get a deal done. Yeah, because I mean, look, if AD's out, even if he doesn't miss the entire season, like if he's out for say a majority of the season, um, you're probably not doing a trade regardless, because like why, unless like I said, unless it's a deal that just really makes sense, like a DeMar and Vu, right? The Lakers might look at that and go, okay, well, DeMar, LeBron, and Vu might be enough to put you somewhere, and then maybe you could go do like Patrick Beverly and Kendrick Nunn in a couple seconds for something. Maybe you go get like a Terrence Ross from like Orlando, and like a Gary Harris, like
But at
two
that point,
guys
for
like
that second trade, like you said, just wait until closer to the trade deadline. I
yeah,
think because
and go
more
do
pieces are
something.
going to be available, though.
Yeah, and that's kind of your hope, that you do like the Chicago deal, and then you do like some minor deal, and that gives you the depth, hopefully. And then if AD comes back come playoff time, then you're good. If he doesn't, then you're hoping that DeMar and LeBron with Vu are enough to kind of carry the workload, and see what happens. But I mean,
And you
realistically,
still have to make a trade with AD in mind, because why AD might not be able to play for the season, he's still going to come back next season.
yeah,
More
it's
than
still,
likely,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
the
So,
hopes.
yeah, so you don't want to. You're not going to go trade for Miles Turner and like Vu. Like you're
Yeah,
not going to do something like that. But
because if you're AD and you're sitting at home, you're like,
wait a minute, are they trading him?
really?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just so yeah. So no matter how you shake it, I'm pretty confident that it's going to come down to AD's injury. Um, you
fingers
know,
crossed though. Fingers crossed. I'm
I
really
mean, look
hoping
at it
that.
like this: we keep getting reports that the Lakers are having discussions, so at least they're at least trying to do something. You know, whether it happens is another thing, but at least they're, you know, maybe that's just pandering to the audience, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they're at least doing something, which is a good sign. But anyway, any last parting words before we get on out of here?
Uh, no. I,
Hopefully,
however, do
hopefully
love that up and under by Mr. LeBron James
I know. Hopefully, we get
in
this
his
W.
old man father time.
Hey, I'll take it, whatever it takes. But anyway, subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, we're trying to get to 3K by the end of the year. We are 106 away. Or no, sorry, 206 away. So subscribe to the channel. Help us out a lot. Like this video, all of that stuff. And yeah, again, as always, we appreciate all of you, and we'll see you all in the